Yeah, I was just curious why your phone was so far down.
Because that's how far we got to. Dina be'emes, that's where we, in the middle of the page, the line begins with the word Ein Sof.
Nun Aleph?
Nun Aleph.
Ein Sof.
The line starts with the
Aleph Samach.
Shoelaces Aleph Samach. At the end of that line, we already went a line further, but this is exactly the session we were up to. Yeah. Somebody forgot to mute their phone. Hello?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. So we are, as I said, in the middle of the page, Samach, Nun Aleph. The line starts with Ein Sof, Aleph Samach. We did not go into the term Yichud Chitzoni de Avo and Yichud Pnimi de Avo. But essentially, it was included in all the discussions that we have had, Pnimi and Chitzoni. Pnimi is bringing out the essence, what's actually taking place within the essence, and Chitzoni is that which it presents. The world is a presentation. The Shomish is the essence itself. So he says over here, at the end of that line, V'hinei be'emes, for in truth, Lulei Neshomis Israel v'Torah. If not for Neshomis in Torah, Israel and Torah, Loi hoyu hamshochos oires atzmim klal. There would not be the hamshochos, the drawing of oires atzmiyim, of oires that represent the etzem klal at all. What is this Behina Be'emes? Pointed out that whenever he uses the expression Be'emes, we have to dig in a little bit deeper what is coming for. Up until that moment, we were saying that Neshomis are able to be mamshich into the world. If not for the Neshomis and Torah, there would not be Oiras Atzmim in the world. Be'emes, in actual truth, even at a higher and a deeper level, if not for Neshomis Torah, there would not be Oiras Atzmim at all. Not just into the world. There would not be hamshoches of Eiras Atzmi. There would not be presentations or of revelations of Eiras Atzmi at all. Because the etzem is not geared. The inner of the etzem is to be into itself, not to be mamshich itself. Sharei ha'etzem hu. Since that the etzem is moved be'erech min ha'oyer v'hagil. Since that the etzem is moved be'erech. We have had this expression many, many times. I'm sure you got the gist of it. Moved means separate, but separated not and higher, but be'erech, out of comparison. From the oil and gil. Oil and gil and etzem are not in the same realm.
told me.
All right. Eventually, we'll get the point of this. Just to, as a start, we have mentioned many times, we came across here also that Rebbe, Rabbeinu HaKodesh said that he had an advantage over his Chaveri in learning, because he was able to see Reb Meir while he was giving the shir. We discussed this in what does it mean, what is the significance of observing the teacher. Whatever the significance of it is, as we discussed, Reb Meir was not occupied in providing this phenomenon of enabling them to see him. He was in a different realm completely. He was totally into himself, in the essence of Reb Meir. When he was teaching whatever he was teaching. But that which he brought of himself to the end, but this was his personal reality, not that he should be observed. This observation, this is Adar Chitzeni, this is a Ha'or. This is what he says. That the Etzem is moved to B'erech min Ha'ir v'Hagil. To represent the Etzem in oil and Gilui is not part of the union of the Etzem. V'yav gam ha'oir, even the oil, k'may shehu b'bchinas Gilui ha'etzem, the oil at the state where it is has the quality of Gilui ha'etzem. It actually is megala and says what the etzem is. Areihu be'emes, but in truth, that oil is be'emes, in truth, be'ein areich klal legabe ha'etzem. It's totally incomparable and totally in a different realm than the etzem. And here I'd like to discuss the singing from the various illustrations, Mishorim, that we've had. For one, we always say, the Gemara says, Odom shein lebayis einay Odom. And we explain that Odom shein lebayis einay Odom is expressing the fact that when a person is in the house, and whatever the house is, if it is a house suitable for a human being, not the Empire State Building, but it is actually a dwelling, then he is automatically present in the entire house. This is what's called Oyed Atzmi. Because a human being has an Atzmi quality. And the reason human being has an Atzmi quality is that the human being, when his creator gave him that status. He was created for his own sake, to represent himself. Therefore he has an Atzmi quality. And therefore his presence in the world has an Atzmi quality. And that's why Beis, this establishes his presence in the world. So this presence, that is, despite the fact that this presence represents him, the truth of his atzmius, nevertheless, be'emes, Again, be'emes means that we're going into the subtleties of this concept. There is no comparison to the person himself, from the person himself to his presence in this whole house. The depth and truth that is represented, or that is that the actual presence of the person himself is of a different caliber than his presence in the home. Even though the presence in the home is really represent, is the reason there is a presence is because he is an Atzma. We always point out, a home is not a place for comfort, for beds and chairs and tables. That you can have any place else. In hotels, in restaurants, as we always point out. And that is not, this misses completely the point. Our home is occupied by the overwhelming presence of this human being. As an aside, hopefully not because I'm offending anyone, a home that is not maintained in a respectful manner is not a home. It's a place to be. If this is a home representing a human being, it has to be orderly. It has to be respectable. Otherwise, he is missing the whole thing. Clearly, it does not mean that after supper, all the dishes are washed before you even put them into the sink. Everything has a process. But ultimately, there's a a respectable aspect in the home because it represents a human being. Not because it's uncomfortable, not because I don't like dirt, because it is disrespectful to the human being living in it. While I'm at this subject, again, with prior begging for forgiveness, and no one should take offense as so. The same goes for a person walking and his shoelaces are tangling all over the floor. That's also not respectable to him. It's not a question of comfort. I'm mentioning that because it's a minor thing, and from this one should proceed in many other in the complete presentation of the human being. We even, as you said, we wake up in the morning, we say, we're always in the presence of a king. We have to always be in a state where he can be presentable to the king. Because that's what we stand for. All right. And this is what he says. Because Etzem is totally removed from the present principle of Oyer and Gil. Even the Oyer K'moy Shehu means the Oyer that is really at that state of being Gil Etzem, B'chinas Gil Etzem. I'm going to try and explain the nuances in this expression over here. The Oyer K'moy Shehu B'chinas Gil Etzem. That we just now expressed, that because this is a human dwelling, therefore it has to be orderly. It has to have all kinds of different decorations and so forth. This is the ramifications of Gilui Ha'etz. The oil k'moi shehu b'bchinas Gilui Ha'etz means the very essential reality of this oil. The reason this oil is because there is Etz. Not the message in it, but just the very presence of it. As it is in the finest and the most subtle sense of the B'chinas Gilui Ha'etz. Even that oil, that is present exclusively because there is the Etzem there. Harehu be'emes bein areich klal legabe Ha'etz. Even that oil is in truth bein areich klal, is totally incomparable to a legabe relative to the Etzem. This is really quite a challenging statement, because the oyer Kameshu B'chinas Gilui Ha'etzem is inseparable from the Etzem. Why is that this oyer? Because there's an Etzem. An Etzem, by definition, produces this oyer. Like we said yesterday, many times before, there's the sun is an etzem behiri. Etzem behiri. Not an etzem that produces light. It's an etzem that is behiri in and of itself. Therefore, in its presence, everything becomes light, not because it produces light, but in its presence there is that oil atzmi, which is inseparable. It's there because the etzem is here, not because the etzem is producing any kind of oil. The same is in him, like you said, Beis, because his presence, that's why there is this house. Nevertheless, even the oil, in that subtle and very fine element, is also incomparable to the etzem itself. Although it really represents the atzmius of the etzem. Why? Okay, here's a real challenge we have to put on our thinking cap. Shaharei, since that, which is an explanation to the previous statement, that the oil is shoy be'erach legabe ha'etz. Shaharei, ha'oir hu b'chinas ha'or alabat. Behold, the oil is bechinas ha'or alabat. The oil is a bechina, is the aspect of ha'or alabat, only a ha'or. She'ein boi min ha'etz, but that does not contain any part of the etz. Here we say that the oil is bechinas oil atzmi, Gilui Ha'etzem, then we say bechinas ha'or alabat. This is why I'm saying you have to understand. To ask a question is not the point. The point is to understand the answer. Understand what the Rebbe is saying. The oil bechinas ha'or alabat. Ha'or we've explained many times. Ha'or means the functional element, the effect of something. The functional element of something is the ha'or. Van ha'or of oil, ha'or of light, and then there is ha'or of etzem. The etzem, like we say in a human being, for instance, he is a human being by virtue of the fact that he was made into a human being. This is his creator's imprint, his creator's presence in him that gives him a reality. Representation of this reality is found in the fact that he has a home, and only he has a home. The whole principle of a home is applicable exclusively to the human being. This is the ha'ora of the etzem, of the atzmius, of the human being. It's representative of that state of being, but it's not the state of being itself. The etzem, this is the reality itself.
Ein wo mina etzem klau showing on
What?
that
Talk loud.
it's not from the it's not part of the essence at all.
Yeah, it doesn't have min ho'etzem, from the etzem, any piece of the etzem at all. It is only representative of etzem. It tells you there is an etzem here, but it doesn't have a piece of the etzem. The oil does not have an element of etzem. The oil is there because the etzem is there.
And
The oil is there not because the oil is there.
And it's a good representative, but yet it's not a piece of it.
It's not a piece of the etzem.
Yeah.
We call it functional because it's in
It's,
it.
it's functional, but the word functional would be to put it. We're saying it's a ha'ora, it's functional. But what is it a function of? What function does it represent? Function of etzem. You know, seichel has a function. Yeah, I'll explain it, understand it. There is a function separate from its source. This is not a function separate from its source. It's representing the source on the functional level. It says, yes, indeed, there is an etzem here. That's what its functionality is, ha'ora. But it doesn't have the etzem.
So the etzem doesn't need to be present.
The etzem has needs to be present.
The etzem does not. The etzem in and of itself does not need to be present.
No.
And
The
there,
etzem is an atzim.
and the or is bringing is it presenting the etzem or
The oil is the presence of the etzem. But that presence is not an inner atzmi that he must have. This is should be error. But on the other hand, this is where the circular thinking is. And etzem automatically has a presence.
because it's so true that it's true in any.
It automatically engulfs everything. Like I said, the sun, etzem behiri, does not have to produce oil to bring light. It brings itself. And then it rules. Mashelas, it rules the whole environment by its reality. Since today we had a little bit on a personal basis, just as the human being occupies his entire home and gives the home a meaning, his presence in the home gives the people in the home a sense of reality. His presence establishes that this is a true presence in the world. So that just as you would not do certain things in the presence of the king, you cannot do certain things in your home. Because and that reality, every human being senses it, values it, appreciates it. Unless we be disregarded, be offended. This is the real principle of parental influence on the children. The children are independent, self-contained individuals with seichel and midas and neshama and everything. But what gives them a sense of reality is their parents. Like I said many times, Rachmana litzlan, someone doesn't know who his parents are, cannot find himself in this world. Why not? Because he's lacking this sense of reality. It's silent without saying a word. This is what the parent produces. Because the parent is a reality, and that is what gives what is imbued in the home. Again, I beg for forgiveness for anyone if I feel that I spoke out of turn, but I just know that certain principles are not known in today's very, very confused world. Okay, so this is the end of it. This is where we're up to, and this is where we are going to interrupt till tomorrow. Have a great day.